Call your sponsor.
Call you sponsor.
Call you sponsor.
Bitch, call your sponsor.
Call your.
And we're back to Bitch Call Your Sponsor. Hi, Misty.
Good morning, Sam. How are you?
Oh, I'm here and I'm breathing and I remember what I did last night. So that's a great start.
You
Shall we
know,
start with our... Go ahead.
I didn't even think to have that as a gratitude. So thank you for that one. Yeah, let's start.
Primary purpose. Our primary
purpose is for Misty and Sam to grow their friendship and maybe help others
along the way, maybe. So what I've been thinking is I was scrolling. I found myself waking up really early one day and scrolling, and I saw this acronym OAR, OAR, and they were talking through this observe, action, results. And, you know, I get a thought, I observe something, I take an action, I get a result. I don't like the results. I take a different action. I get a different result. I take a different action. And so I get in that loop of A&R of action, results, which in essence are like 2 and 3, you know? And what the invitation was to go back to the observation, because the thought isn't necessarily always 100. In fact, my thoughts are never 100. And that's the flaw, is that I go through life thinking I know based on whatever's happened already. And I forfeit having a true experience because I'm safeguarding on what I think will happen based on stuff that's already happened, if that all makes sense.
It does make sense.
So I wanted to bring it here, and I know we've brought it up somewhere along the lines, you know, thoughts, feelings, and actions for me don't need to be related in recovery. I can, you know, part of the recovery process is taking contrary action. And that is like creating a whole new habit and stuff. And and the reason why this is so relevant right now is that I'm finding myself lost in thoughts and then not being in action. And my thoughts are never about the present, rarely about the present. It's all forecasting future doom and gloom, or replaying the past and regret of the past and shoulda, coulda, woulda.
I like this. I'm jumping in.
Go.
So I love what you said. The first part reminded me of, what was it? Thought, action?
Yeah, so observation, thought, action, results, basically.
Observation, thought, action, results. So it reminded me of when it talks about in the big book that our actor, you know, is on the stage and the players aren't doing what they want. So they try to be nice to get their way and it doesn't work. And then they try and be like more mean or scolding to try and get their way. And then they're like, what happens? The play doesn't go off right. So on the next occasion, our actor becomes even more mean or more nice, whatever the case may be. And still the play does not suit them. And it talks about like an acute, what is it? It's the line about, you know, just doing it over and over, expecting different results, basically. And what you're saying is what they say about the steps too, which is like, if you're not doing great in the step you're in, go back to the step you were on. If you're having trouble, you know, like with step 6, maybe you didn't fully do step 5. And what I'm hearing from this is, you know, if the action isn't working, let's go back to the original thought of what you thought the problem was.
I love that you said that. I rarely hear that these days, like to go back a step, you know, which is something that I've sometimes I've done myself and then suggested to others. And for me, I always thought 3, there's all this thing like, it's mind. It's like, serenity, it's the keystone to the arch to which we walk through freedom is what the book says. So it's like, there's 12 steps and 3 is the keystone. It's the one that is at the top of the arch, right?
Yeah.
And for me, what's really coming true is the 2, like it's centered in my brain. And what the fuck am I thinking?
Right. I love that because you know how much we love to apply science to this. And it's like the scientist who has their hypothesis and all the experiments aren't working out to it. And it's like, okay, even though that's your dearly loved hypothesis in science, you have to go back and change it, the original concept. Because in some way it was biased because the results are not adding up to it.
Yeah. And, I was going through, there was a newcomer I ran into and they gave me like these new slogans. They went to like a TC, whatever those, like it's like those treatment things where it's like rigorous. It's very like military. They usually have it for teen boys, I think. And I'm probably not going to remember. Oh, there was like piss and crap. They had an acronym for that, but the acronym I was thinking of is false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like that's where my brain is going. I'm future tripping into the doom and gloom. Nothing will work out. It will always forever be like this. And it's then causing a lot of inaction for me.
Well, I just find it so interesting. So the way I'm applying this is I'll have an idea that someone at work is trying to sabotage me, right? So then I start taking action to deal with the sabotage. And I start plotting against this person. And now we're in a full-on spy movie, right? And then, I run into them or we go have lunch and find out they just broke up with their boyfriend and they're having a hard time. And I realize, I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes thinking this was all about me and taking action that was just not appropriate, So I have to go back to that original concept and the original thought and like not take action.
I love how you talk about the spy movie because I love that. I love all this, I love my secrets, but it's like I love all the secrets and the scheming and the plotting and the overthinking and the like, what is happening? And all that happens for me in those things, it's I'm in my brain, not in my body, and not in communication with anybody but myself.
Right. And I think that's a really good point with this, what you're talking about, because it's so much of it is, okay, I need to check in and be in my body. And I also need to check in with others. Yeah. But it's like the equanimity again, where, I need to make sure that I feel grounded. And then I can check in with others. And sometimes what they suggest, I'm like, no, I'm grounded. That doesn't feel right to me,
Oh God, that's so it. I just, the groundedness. So for me, the narrative, my theme song, which is what I like to call it, that's from the core is, based on the bullying and then, father's affair. So it's, all of that meant that my theme song's like me, love me, or I'm unlovable is what's underneath it. And so everything goes through that filter.
Yeah, that's really deep. I love that. And I feel like you and I, we both approach things different ways, but there is one place we agree upon, which is scrappy. Or in Al-Anon, they have that phrase, assume the good, right? My brain immediately assumes the bad. And Always. It's just like, they're out to get me. They're plotting. I got to fight. I got to be ready. I got to be hyper vigilant. I got to be on call at all times and be ready for where are they trying to get me, you know? And it's like, it's exhausting.
Exhausting.
And
Exhausting.
to your point, it's like going back to that core thought and, you know, seeing what that is and then dealing with that part, not the outside world.
Well, I think that that's the thing, right? If for me, when I go back to the core and really get closer to the core, is I would look outside myself for safety, love, validation, all of the things. And it was never really 100 from my parents, you know, like what I learned from my family of origin was avoidance. Like, let's not talk about stuff. Let's go to our own rooms and just numb out however you choose, you know, TV, eating, sex, whatever those things are, you know, and that's ultimately so for me, alcohol was the presenting issue.
Yeah,
and then I put that down and then I see, oh, there's a lot of other layers here.
Right. There's so many ways to numb out when you put alcohol down. It's like, I thought that was it. Yeah. And I think so many of us get that message that instead of dealing with life on life's terms, here's a way to numb out and not be your true self. And the thing is, on top of that, our brains want to protect us from being uncomfortable. So we have like a double whammy of growing up in a home that shows us to numb out. Plus our brains are like, hey, we don't want you to have pain or be uncomfortable. So don't go down that path. Let's not go there. Let's not look at that. Let's not sit for 20 minutes because you have so many things to do and that's going to be so annoying. And I'm just going to talk to you the whole time. You know, and then we finally sit and the brain does chatter for like 5 minutes and then we dip in.
So, I mean, for me, like this, yes. And we're told the disease is centered in our brain, in my mind. And, you know, I used to hear, my disease is outside doing push-ups. And I'm like, no, the killer's in the house. You know, like the killer is my thoughts.
That's so good.
Right?
The call is coming from inside the brain.
Inside the house. Yeah, totally.
That is
in my
amazing.
own voice, I'm better than, who are these people?
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Get me separate. You know, I used to hear my disease wants me dead. I don't know if it wants me dead. It definitely wants me separate and better than or less than and alone and miserable.
That is so interesting. I have ridden on that ship, right?
Yeah.
But I jump off of it now. To me, that's the equivalent of in church when the preacher's like, yeah, I slept with her, but the devil was in me. The devil made me do it. You know, everybody like, my disease is going to get me. My disease is out. No, we're loving. God is either everything or he is nothing. And your brain has things in place from family trauma, from coping mechanisms to protect you. And our job is to be in meditation, be in the present, so that we can differentiate between my brain is trying to protect me, but I need to push forward. Or, you know, I actually do need to take comfort.
That's beautiful. I need to hear that. My brain is looking to protect me. And, you know, what's been coming up this past week is this, you know, it's actually from ACA, which is the don't trust, don't talk, don't feel. And that I'm really clear, like, oh, here's where I'm shutting out. Oh, here's, you know, and it's my brain is quote unquote protecting me. And in my deeper knowing, right behind the belly button is like, no, this is where I need connection. You know, this is where I need to push through.
Right. Right.
And that
So good.
that growth is so can be so difficult.
Well, it can just be scary. I mean, it can just be such an old story that it feels like an anchor is down in the sand on a boat. Okay, I'm going with boat analogies today.
Ooh, with the oar, yes.
Yeah. So it's just like, okay, I'm supposed to move the boat, but the anchor's down in the sand. How are we supposed to do a different story? How are we supposed to let this go? It doesn't even feel possible.
So do you have like an area or something that where you're feeling that anchor is like so heavy? Because mine is right now surfacing in action around.
Your sponsor.
Call you sponsor.
Sponsor.
Call you
Call
sponsor.
your
Call you
sponsor.
sponsor.
Bitch.
Call you. Bitch, call your sponsor.
Call your sponsor. Call.
New episode tomorrow. Send us an email bcysponsor@gmail.com.